What's goody, y'all? We are here for Hood Translations of the Bible, Genesis chapter 11. I feel like that was actually it. Once again, my name is Eli Blacid. We are here for Genesis chapter 11 of Hood Translations of the Bible. Where we end, of course, I will figure out, but essentially, the subtitle of this chapter is the Tower of Babel. And as I told y'all before, Tower of Babel is a literary allusion, or it is now used as a literary allusion as well, which essentially, I believe, is used to express like chaos and whatnot. Confusion and chaos. There we go. And if I remember correctly, when I was learning, it was because we were reading Fahrenheit 451, which essentially was, there was a time in which there was a lot of confusions about something due to different languages or something. I can't remember, but essentially that's what it was, which as we get into the story, y'all figure out that's where everyone was united as one language, one being, and so God had essentially struck down the tower to cause everybody confusion and whatnot, in order for them, because they could no longer communicate as one language, they weren't able to build the tower. But that's getting too far ahead. Usually I would, of course, y'all know, read in the daylight, but however, it's the holidays and there's people here during the day, so we're going to see if I can read at night. That's why I actually paused after I said reading Genesis chapter 11. I could not remember what I wanted to say, but then, of course, it came later on. That's neither here nor there, guys. Let's get into it. Genesis chapter 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make buck and burn them thoroughly. Let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. Verse 4. And they said, Go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered broad upon the face of the whole of earth. Verse 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. Verse 6. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and they began to do, and now nothing with be restrained from them, with they have imagined to do. Verse 7. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not be understood, that they may not understand one another's speech. Right there, confound essentially means let us confuse their language. So let us make them, let's cause confusion within strife and whatnot. So that way, of course, they can become confused. Verse 8. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and left off the build of the city. They left off to build the city. Verse 9. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. Verse 10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Ephrax 2 years after the flood. Verse 11. And Shem lived after he begat Ephrax 500 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 12. And Ephrax lived 530 years and begat Shalal. Verse 13. And Ephrax lived after he begat Shalal 403 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 14. And Selah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Selah lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 16. And Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 18. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. Verse 19, and Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 20, and Reu lived lived 230 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 22. And Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 9 and 20 years and begat Terah. Verse 25. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 26. And Terah lived 72 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Verse 27. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. Verse 28. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. Verse 29. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran. The father of Milcah and the father of Isaac is Iscah. Verse 30. But Sarai was barren; she had no child. Verse 31. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's sons, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his sons Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Now, if you recall, I believe, did I even start this? I did. For a second, I thought I wasn't recording, y'all. So sorry. Anyhow, if y'all remember, we were talking about, I think I said Noah was the last of the generations to live so long, and then I feel like God solidified the 120 years. As you can see, I actually was wrong as we kept reading. Some of not only Noah's descendants, but Noah's, they all were Noah's descendants, but some of Noah's direct descendants, like his direct sons, as well as his grandsons, great-grandsons, all that, children and all that, they all lived past 100 and 120 years so. So I don't know when exactly, but as you can see, it teeters. Some of them only live about 100, 200 years. Some of them lived more towards 500. So as you can see, don't know how God really distinguishes between the two, but he picks and chooses when they have prosperous life and when they don't. And I'm assuming that's based upon the work that they end up doing or whatnot. That's neither here nor there. As you can see, we are about to get into the story of Abraham. And of course, Abraham is going to have a lot of generations and a lot of stories, as well as a lot of positioning, I guess, within the book of Genesis. As you all remember, Father Abraham had many sons as Father Abraham. I was one of them, and so you, so let's all have some fun, all that good stuff. So we are going to get deep into that, which I didn't even just recollect. Abraham had came from Noah, which had came from, of course, Cain. Well, I don't know if Noah actually came directly from Cain. I can't remember that lineage like that. But of course, came from Cain, Adam, and Eve, and all them people. So as you can see, God is focusing on a specific generations of a specific sect of people. However, there are still people that, of course, exist in this time as period too, which even right here, he said these are the generations of Shem. So I'm guessing all of Shem's generation was at the Tower of Babel, and then he split them up. At least that's what it's giving. But also, too, as I told y'all before, there was, of course, after Noah and the flood and everything, I still think that was only a sect of people. Because then, as we're talking here, these people are, again, not only populated, but also then are working together all in the same area. And then he said he spread them out of that area. So that's why, once again, I would say the flood happened in a specific area too. But of course, since there was other people outside of that area, they still were not tasked with populating the earth entirely. Can't fully prove that within the word and whatnot. Of course, we'll see if it gets into later, but That's still what's going on to my thinking. Neither here nor there. Let's start with chapter 12. This subtitle is called Abraham's Journey. Chapter 12. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land in that I will shew thee. To shew thee means to show. So basically to shew, he's going to show him a land that is greater than the land he is in and the land he's came from. Verse 2, I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Verse 3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Verse 5, and Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Verse 6, and Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh. And the Canaanite was then in the land. Verse 7, and the Lord appeared unto Abram, and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar, my fault, unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. Verse 8, and he removed from thence unto a mountain unto the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Harion to the east. And there he built an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. Verse 9, and Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. Verse 10, and there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. Verse 11, and it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Once again, to be fair means you are beautiful, you are wanted, you are desired. Verse 12, therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. So she will still be alive. They're going to kill Abram, but keep her alive. Of course, essentially he believes they're going to do things to her. They're going to disrespect her for lack of thinking of a more heinous word or whatnot. Or, of course, heinous, but not trying to be triggering. So essentially they're going to disrespect and take her like like she is theirs. Verse 13, say I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall I live because of thee. Verse 14, and it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her, and commended her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses, and manservants and maidservants, and she asses and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, She is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they went away, and his wife and all that he had. So boom. One, it's funny how Egypt, they're always having a famine. As you just saw, you wouldn't even just saw. We're going to hear it later when we're talking in Joseph. Later on in the chapter and whatnot, there's going to be another famine in Egypt, which, of course, it doesn't seem too um it doesn't seem too far out of the questioning, knowing Egypt is mainly desert, especially North African, meaning I believe part of the Sahara Desert is part of Egypt's geography and whatnot. But even if not, regardless, it is a very sandy, not like soily, but of course sandy sort of texture to its soil and whatnot. And of course, so that's why, like I said, the famines don't seem too, it don't seem too crazy that they frequent Egypt and whatnot. But it's also crazy that we keep coming back there, even though we know there's mad famines and whatnot. But then also speaking of, as we get into the Egyptians and pharaohs, time and time again, they are, I guess, they have to face the wrath of God. Because not only here did he plague the Egyptians, but then later on, they are plagued in the story of Moses. When Moses is, of course, dealing with Pharaoh and whatnot, God brings about more plagues. So at the same time, he got them in the situation to be neighbors and whatnot. But at the same time, as you can see, he ain't messing with everybody. Because the Egyptians was getting plagued upon plague. And as you know, ancient Egypt was actually, which I don't think this is the time period of ancient Egypt. I ain't did too much research to actually tell you if it is or is not. But as you can see, if it was, Egypt had always been prosperous. As you can see, there was already pharaohs in here and whatnot. So they had to be, even if not prosperous, they were revered. They were revered as prosperous. They had larger wealth than a majority of their people and whatnot. And as you can see, as much as they have wealth, God still ain't blessing them like he blessing his people and whatnot. So that's very interesting. And it's also interesting that they gave Abram, like, that's how Abraham's blessing is started. Because as you see, he said not only he was going to take him to a new land, he got the new land, but you can't really do nothing with the new land if you still ain't got nothing. So then he was blessed with, which as you see, and here they say he and she, like he asses and she asses, that just means male donkeys, female donkeys, male camels, female camels, male servants and maid servants. Of course, male servants being male servants, and then maid servants, which is of course being women servants. And all of this is simply gifted to him because of Sarai from the Egyptians and whatnot. And that's interesting because of course, as you remember when after Pharaoh got plagued, he had said, why'd you say it was her sister that you said this was your sister, then it would have been wrong for me to make her my wife. And of course, like dowries and whatnot, to take on a wife, you had to ask the family. Not even ask, but you had to essentially bribe the family. It mostly would have been, of course, the father, but of course he's traveling with the brother. So that way it is still a man who is of enough stature to claim the woman and whatnot. So although the father, of course, was not there because they thought he was the sister. Maybe the father had passed on. Maybe he's just not traveling with them. I've asked your permission. You made it cool or whatnot because once again, you really don't got a say. Not because the man cannot have a say, but at the end of the day, women don't have a say. So once again, why are you the end goal is to get your John, your woman, no matter what she is in relation to you. You trying to get her married off. Once again, the Pharaoh's now trying to marry her, so we just gonna let it be and whatnot. And so it's interesting how Abram, which his name is not Abraham yet, so Abram receives all these blessings and whatnot. And then you realize the blessings that he gets to keep. Even though Pharaoh was plagued and whatnot, he was like, yo, take everything I done gave you, take Sarai as well, and go. Like, they didn't ask for it back and whatnot. So this is a solidification of Abram's blessing from God. Even though I don't think it was fully supposed to go that way. But maybe it was. Maybe that's what God wanted. Because God didn't mention to him, like, no, don't tell them, yo, that's your sister. Tell them that's your wife. And watch how they still... Watch what they gonna try and do, but I'm gonna be there with you. He didn't say none of that. He just let it be. So maybe at the same time, this was the domino effect that he had to ensure ensue, sorry, so that, of course, Abraham can keep building towards his Abram, sorry, he's not Abraham yet. Abram can keep building up into his blessing. So, as much as there's not much within those 2 chapters, that's once again setting up foundation and whatnot. Setting up generations and whatnot, which I believe I previously told y'all before. Generations is a large foundational chapter in my head and whatnot. You get some of the most pivotal stories in Genesis, which so far we have, of course, Noah, Abraham, Adam, and Eve and whatnot. Later on in Genesis, we're going to get into, I believe, Joseph, Isaac, and all them. But right here, of course, we are setting the platform for Abram to soon be Abraham, and then a Sarai to soon be Sarah. So yeah, once again, we are just setting that foundation, and of course getting into their story, their blessings, and understand the generations in which God is focusing on building, developing, and moving forward. That's actually cool, Calm Collected. I'm very proud that I got to do this within 20 minutes. Of course, not that I'm ever worried about extending videos and whatnot, but for videos, I'm going to try and keep within this 20-minute time frame and whatnot. So the fact that we read 2 chapters, got to explain those 2 chapters and whatnot. Of course, as we get deeper into stories and chapters and whatnot, sometimes explanations may be longer or whatnot. But because we are simply setting foundation and setting basis, I believe these explanations do not have to go too in-depth, except on certain parts and whatnot. But yeah, so that is Genesis chapter 11 and chapter 12, guys. Love y'all, bless y'all. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, catch us next week. It's been an honor, it's been a pleasure. Love y'all, had a week y'all deserve, day y'all deserve. And as 2025 is about to end, had a year y'all deserve, 2026. Love y'all.